Let's take a look at our top stories this hour. Stakeholders want PDS to suspend mass disconnection exercise in the Lower Krobo district amidst calls for the regional minister to apologize over his pay or leave comment. We'll also take you into the Central Furniture Works building after fire consumed properties running into millions of cedis amidst the owner's arson suspicion. Then we'll spend some time in Tripoli as cucumbers there lay down their arms but call for the dismissal of the district chief executive. Meanwhile, police have arrested assemblyman believed to be arming the cucumbers after a gun battle. I'm grateful you chose to spend your evening with us here on News Tonight. Let's get into our first story. Some power consumers in the Lower Krobo district have described as an unfortunate statement by the Eastern Region Minister Eric Kwache, asking them to go off the national grid if they cannot pay electricity bills.
Why were the people resisting? They were resisting because, number one, the bills that were coming were outrageous. So much. Secondly, you were not bringing the correct bills. Go there, they would not even look into your face and explain some of the things to you. Recently, when they asked them to go and be paid, a woman, I can take you to the woman. She went there and the kind of interact or whatever went on, the woman refused to go there again. How can that continue? So we are willing to pay, but their attitude towards us also is not the best. We will go to your office and then you will, as if you are not human beings. That is not fair.
Like the residents, Member of Parliament for Lower Krobo, Ebenezer Oklate Telabi, who visited the bereaved family, the injured and some traditional rulers on Thursday, wants the regional minister to apologize.
That statement is very unfortunate. I hope he will listen to himself again and will come and apologize to the people. The fact that you are owing doesn't mean that you don't deserve to use electricity. So what we are saying is that the problem should not be overstretched. They shouldn't put, the overstretch, the problem to any area. It's not about chieftaincy. It's not about the fact that there's any letter or there's any MOU anywhere. What we are saying is that the bills that they brought were huge, and we suspend foul play. Let them go back, review, bring the bill. Lower Krobo, we are prepared to pay electricity bills.
Meanwhile, the local council of churches at Lower Krobo has urged the power distributor to suspend its disconnection exercise in the area. At a press conference addressed by the secretary, Reverend Sylvanus Frederick Kwache explained peace must prevail first. The disturbance, which began in 2017, has now claimed 2 lives, one of which is that of a 14-year-old student.
Meanwhile, residents of Ponguno, Yohe, Sokwanya and many other communities within the Lower Krobo municipality are calling on government to call PDS to order to restore power to them. This call comes as these communities have been temporarily taken off the national grid.
Residents have been without power since Wednesday as PDS officials switched off transformers supplying power to the areas following bloody clashes with the residents. According to the residents, the power cut to the areas is not only affecting households but also businesses. The residents say they are ready to pay electricity bill but want the outrageous bills reviewed downwards.
Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament in that community has been addressing the media on some resolutions the community has taken going forward. Let's take a listen.
PDS, has accepted to hold on with the disconnection that is going on. 2, they have indicated that issues about, bulk bills, you can describe it overbilling, has been resolved. However, for us to have the effect on our bills, we would have to grant them access to our meters so they can have access and do the reconciliation. 3, they have also agreed that they are going to open temporarily another office in the Odumansi area that is going to deal with the customers. This is in anticipation of the fact that because of what is happening here, the numbers that will be going, to their offices for the resolution of the current problem will be huge, and therefore, if they have, a temporary arrangement until this issue is resolved in Lower Manya to help the situation. We also agreed that we call our people, the youth, and the various, the people of Koboland to keep calm whilst this issue is resolved.
Well, it hasn't been great news either here in the national capital of Accra. I'll take you to Sakama now, where fire Friday dawn ravaged Central Furniture Works. The blaze swept through every floor of the building, destroying heavy woodwork machines, equipment and furniture, running into millions of Ghana cedis. Firefighters at the scene could not immediately determine the cause, but the owner will not rule out arson.
Firefighters were called to the scene of the fire a few minutes after 2 in the wee hours of the morning. Their swift intervention could only douse the flames several hours after intense work. Public Relations Officer of the Accra Regional Fire Station, DO2 Robinson Oko, from the Regional Office of the Fire Service said it took over 48 men and 7 fire engines to combat the fire tactfully.
We started fighting the fire, but then we needed assistance. So 7 of our fire engines were all here to assist to do the firefighting. And it took us 4 hours to be able to bring the fire under control.
And how many of your men did you have in there to also help tackle the fire?
About 48 of them.
Eyewitnesses say the now subdued blaze started about 2 a.m. Friday dawn. The building security man, Abudu Wahab, was first to spot the fire.
Red and black. I said I didn't know. I started to Mikumatu, Miss Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. Mika Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, no, that Takwade Casno. Omudu, Omubisa, Miss Aden, and Omu farm. I feel Yabano, I take a new do to say market Yabano. And I who say, I didn't know, I see more than the time, Mihun first, now she not tre.
After several hours of wrestling with the fire by the firefighters, which engulfed the furniture workshop here at Sakaman, raising down every item in the building, including major parts of the building, this is what is left with. Victims of the fire outbreak are actually consoling themselves by trying to salvage their wares left among these rubbles.
The fire, which gutted the central furniture work, also affected operations of A1 Bakery.
People called me around 12:15. Immediately that I rushed in. I just saw smoke first. In about 15 minutes time, then we started seeing the fire coming up. So we rushed to our compound as A1. We came to our compound and we started moving our vehicles out. Then we started calling fire service. Some of our bread in the oven will be spoiled, and some of the lighting, because of the heat also, were just getting damaged. That's what I saw.
Although fire service is yet to determine the cause of the fire, Executive Director of the Central Furniture Workshop, Mustafa Mahama, already suspects arson.
That is what the next door is telling me. He heard the sound of a metal, somebody pulling a metal around 1. So I should come back to him. He will give me more information. So I really suspect that, because it's not electrical. Going home, we off the mains, and if there should be fire, it should come from. Even our sawdust didn't go bent. It's only somebody would have thrown fire on over it.
Meanwhile, investigations have begun into the incident.
Now let's take you a few steps back. We'll take you back to the eastern region, particularly the Lower Manya Krobo area, where some events have been taking place leading to the death of 2 people, we're told. Kojo Ansa is our regional correspondent. He's joined us over the telephone. Kojo, we know that stakeholders were, including the MP for the area, were in the area today. We had some resolutions that they had come to. But how is the community responding to these resolutions that the joint, for lack of a better description, committee came up with?
Well, essentially, this news has not gotten to the entire populace. A section of the people who are just around the member of parliament for the area, they are aware of this resolution. So the MP is expecting that the media will carry this information for the public to be aware, especially the residents in Manya Krobo area here. But, you know, as we speak, I'm still in the community, and it seems the resolution has started yielding some results because some communities that were taken off the national grid, they are being reconnected. For now, 2 communities have been reconnected, and we are told about 4 more are expected to be reconnected. As we speak at the municipal assembly right now, I can see the municipal police commander and other armed police officers around because they have to provide security to the PDS staff who will be going around to these communities to restore power to these communities. So that strategy is together with their assembly members as well as the municipal chief executive for Lower Manya Krobo here, Simon Tete Kweku. They are all here and they are strategizing as to how to, get into these communities to restore power to the people.
Right. Now, Kojo, that's one part of the problem, restoration of power. The other is the bills that go to the people in the Lower Manya Krobo district. Now, what do we know about how that is changing going forward?
Yes, for that particular issue, that is the fundamental concern. And per the information provided by the Member of Parliament for the area, per their meeting with PULC and PDS, going forward, they are going to look into that particular concern of the people. And then also, officials of PDS, they want access to the meters of the consumers so that they will be able to correct whatever error that is in the meter so that that concern or the problem that the people say they are facing with regards to their billing system, it will be rectified. So going forward, the PDS, they are asking the people to give them access to their meters for the problem to be rectified.
Well, Kojo, now let's talk about the people who were injured in the violent process, particularly the 14-year-old boy. We hear reports has lost his life. What can you tell us about that?
Well, this particular person, we went to the family house. They said actually he's 24 years, but some other family members said he has some mental challenge, a bit of that. And as of now, they are still in touch with the security agencies to, as it were, go through the autopsy report for the body to be released to the family. So after that, then they will just find the place for him to be buried. Then other concern is with regards to other persons who got injured, including a junior high school student who is scheduled to write BEC exam June 10. Now, this particular student was hit in the leg. One of the legs, the right leg, there's a big fracture. Then the other leg too, he suffered some sort of gunshot injury. So she can't walk. As she speaks, she has been referred to the Koforia, St. Joseph Hospital for further treatment. The parents are praying that she recovers quickly for her to be able to write the BEC.
Very well.
Other than that, they will go on to talk to YH for them to give the examination questions to her to write the exams at the hospital. So they are making all these arrangements.
Very well, Kojo, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much. Kojo Ansa is our Eastern Region correspondent. Thankfully, peace has prevailed and the people of Lower Manya Krobo district are being reconnected to the national grid. Let's take you up north to Tripoli now, where we tell you that the Kokomba Youth Association have laid down their arms to give peace a chance in Tripoli and Saboba districts. As part of their demands, Koya is asking for the removal of the DCE. Now, in a statement, they explain why the DCE should be removed. I want to share that with you quickly, but you see it on your screens at the moment. They tell us that the DCE has played a role in fueling the situation. They explain that the Kokombas in the area have been harassed by the Chokosis, and the security should be stopped immediately. Instead, we should dialogue or renegotiate on issues affecting us. They also talk about allegations made to the security agencies should first of all be investigated instead of the current leading of the security by Chokosis to Kokombas communities to cause mayhem. Kokombas should be allowed free movement in Tripoli and in other Chokosi communities. Kokombas should not be disturbed or attacked by the Chokosis when they are on their farms. Now, they believe that the DCE should be removed, essentially because their calls to his office have fallen on deaf ears. They think that the DCE and the police regional PRO failed to use the right adjective to describe the current plight of Kokombas in Tripoli. In a moment, we'll get in touch with our Northern Region correspondent who's reported that the police have arrested a Tripoli Assemblyman, John Ujun, for distributing firearms to Kokombas. He was overpowered after a gun battle with the police. We'll share details of that with you in a moment. But let's turn attention to education. The Ghana Education Service officials in the Shayo-Sudoku district and other stakeholders are calling for a concrete policy on free distribution of sanitary pads to deprived schoolgirls across the country. According to Victoria Yabua, the coordinator for early childhood development guidance and counseling of the Shayo district GES, many girls in the district are performing poorly due to absenteeism born out of lack of access to sanitary pads. She made the call at an event to commemorate Menstrual Hygiene Day slated for 28th May.
In many rural areas across Ghana, access to sanitary pads for girls to use during menstruation is a huge challenge, leaving many to resort to rags and other unsafe materials. According to the United Nations Children's Fund, many girls across Ghana and other African countries miss school for at least 3 days in every month when in their menses, thereby affecting their academic performances. In the Shayo-Sudoku district in the Greater Accra region, the situation is no different. According to the GES coordinator for guidance and counseling and early childhood development, Victoria Yabua, the academic performance of many girls in the district is dwindling and access to sanitary pads is a major factor. She is therefore advocating a formulation of a concrete policy to ensure the distribution of free sanitary pads to girls in deprived areas.
There was a time that they started, but it wasn't a policy. People thought it was a joke. But for our district, looking at the challenges that are here, I am of the view, I would say 100%, that like other nations, I wouldn't be able to recall the actual country. Yes, I know some countries in Africa are doing these things and it's keeping girls in school. It could be a national policy that for girls to be retained in school, so they wouldn't have any excuse. Then it should be a policy for girls that the government on a monthly basis, just like giving some free school uniform and shoes, should also give out free sanitary pad. We feel that most of our girls in our district are not doing well, and these are some of the attributes or their challenges that they are facing.
She said, but for the help of NGOs such as Days for Girls that distribute some reusable sanitary pads to girls, the academic performance would have been worse. To commemorate World Menstrual Hygiene Day, which is marked on 28th May each year, Days for Girls, an NGO that is into the production and distribution of reusable sanitary pads to girls, held an event with stakeholders to create more awareness on menstrual hygiene. The country director for Days for Girls, Apia Boachi, reiterated calls to reduce taxes on sanitary pads while calling for support for organizations such as hers to keep producing alternative products that are healthy for use.
But then there's the infrastructure surrounding menstruation, the wash facilities that are necessary, that need to be in every school, in every community, so that girls have access to not only clean changing facilities, but also water, if they choose to care for themselves in varying ways, cleaning for themselves hygienically, but also if they use products that need water. As it pertains to access is really the challenge, and so that's why Days for Girls has created our washable sanitary pad, because we recognize that one of the issues or the barriers to menstruation when it comes to access is the financial commitment. It's expensive, the taxes that are on pads in Ghana, it's like 20%, I think, for feminine hygiene products. And so it's really important that the government work to reduce those taxes or eliminate completely.
Some students shared their experiences with the news team and pleaded with the government to ensure it makes sanitary materials readily available and affordable for all girls, not to lose out.
Some will not come to school because they are having menstrual pains and they are not having sanitary pads to use. That make them not to come to school. But if the government help the schools to get the students to get the sanitary pad, it will make them to come to school.
If the government can help those who don't have money to afford pad for their menstrual period, if the government can help them by knowing whether they have a guidance who can help them buy, or those who don't have, the government can help them.
Young environmental journalists have marched the streets of Accra to raise awareness on climate change. The journalists are demanding government commits to building a fossil fuel-free Ghana while putting in efforts to achieve a 10% renewable energy mix by 2030.
In Ghana, the effect of climate change has become evident in the changes in the rainfall pattern and very warm temperatures. Around the world, there is a realization to do something to combat the dire consequences of climate change by reducing carbon emission. That is why 350 Ghana, a non-profit organization against climate change, joined forces with international movement Africa VUCA to demand action.
Climate change is something that is affecting all of us. So for this reason, we are inviting young communicators to educate them on the need to promote the renewable energy agenda as one key way of fighting climate change. So our main agenda is to encourage government to take measures that will lead to carbon reduction.
The march is part of activities to observe anti-climate change campaigns on the 24th and 25th of May each year. Other activities for the day included training some 50 young journalists to use social media as a tool for climate change reporting and advocacy.
We are in the 21st century where most young people are on social media. As I made known in my presentation, about 10 million Ghanaians who are using the internet, about 6 million of them are on social media. That means whatever you promote on social media goes far than even on the traditional media. So if as young communicators they make it a point or they decide they are going to use social media, the impact will be very huge. Our president is on social media, our ministers are on social media, our parliamentarians, they are all on social media. So if you make it a point that we are going to use social media to connect to other people who know less about renewable or climate change, and also ask more from our politicians, I believe they will hear it even more louder.
The trainees drawn from the Ghana Institute of Journalism commended the initiative.
Come to learn from the presentations and how we can also use social media to help create awareness about this whole climate action and all that. And I think as a youth, as young communicators, we have to really use this opportunity very well, because one of the presenters made a comment, and it's very true, that this whole thing will come a long way to affect us, because by then he will be dead, but we will still be here. So if we take this thing, we act now and then protect our environment and all that, it will live up to benefit us.
We are looking at climate change and renewable energy in our social environment, okay? And to me personally, I think it's something that we need to really look at. We need to enforce our legislation. We need to push hard, to advocate hard for these kind of things to be included in our legislation to our laws, because we are looking at the future aspects, okay? Even if you can see the adverse effect now, let's look at 100 years to come, 200 years to come, or 20 years to come. We'll be seeing actually the real effects of these things.
You're watching Friday edition of News Tonight. We're live on GHONE television and we'll be right back.
Teacher said food particles can make tiny holes in teeth when they are left over at night. So you have to remember to brush your teeth at night. But Daddy is always forgetting brushing. He will get cavities.
Pepsodent's Cavity Fighter, with the action of calcium and perfluoride, helps prevent cavities during the day, and at night works twice as hard to repair tiny holes before becoming cavities. Pepsodent's Cavity Fighter with double action for daily, day and night cavity protection.
Welcome back. This is News Tonight with me, Keminni Amanor. Now, in other news, each year between 50,000 to 100,000 women worldwide are affected by obstetric fistula, an abnormal opening between a woman's genital tract and her urinary tract or rectum. As the world commemorates International Day to End Obstetric Fistula, Nadima Umar Uthman reports surgeons want the country's health insurance authority to take up the full cost of treatment for patients.
Obstetric fistula is a common complication of childbirth resulting from prolonged obstructed labor. Women with fistula have absolutely no control over their urine or bowels. They are always wet, their clothing soiled with an offensive stench. In Ghana, high numbers of this condition is recorded in the 3 northern regions, with more than 1,350 new fistula cases recorded annually. Speaking at the International Day to End Obstetric Fistula, Chairman of the National Task Force, Professor Anyete Lase, emphasized the need for Ghana to prevent and manage the condition in order to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goal 3 of improving maternal health.
We've had national health insurance that has been helping to pay for part of the cost, not the whole cost, of treatment. And I think it is about time that the National Health Insurance Authority does accept to pay for the cost of treatment of these patients, the full cost of treatment of these patients.
Women living with fistula are typically from low-income areas and are usually unaware that treatment is available. And if they are aware of treatment options, they often cannot afford them. As part of the country's effort to reduce the high number of cases recorded annually, surgeons embark on outreaches to offer fistula repair surgery, which has a success rate of over 90%. However, some refuse to offer themselves up for treatment due to stigmatization, while others resort to prayer camps due to misconceptions.
Quite a number of fistula patients, instead of going to hospital, go to the prayer camps. They consider childbirth, laboring and childbirth to be a spiritual experience, whatever spiritual means. And so instead of going to the hospital or the midwife to deliver with skilled attendants, they will go to the churches, prayer camps, to be prayed for so this baby can come out. It's very sad.
Director of Family Health Division of the Ghana Health Service, Patrick Abwaje, says the Ghana Health Service established the obstetric fistula program to reach affected women with treatment and reintegration.
Increased effort has been made towards accelerating access to treatment for affected women.
through periodic medical outreach by dedicated teams of surgeons at the two main fistula repair centers in Mankasim and Tamale. And this hard-working team of surgeons undertaking this hard work, they undertake this work pro bono and need to be commended.
Prevention and treatment of obstetric fistula will undoubtedly contribute to achieving the SDG 3, which is ensuring healthy lives, in this case improving maternal health.
There's more news to come. Stay with us.
My name is Sewa Amihe. So tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on GHONE TV, we are launching the Cheers Health Walk, the second edition. And this time, the theme for this year is Cheers for the Black Stars. You know the Black Stars are going into the AFCON 2019 in June. And so come, let's walk together on the 22nd of June 2019 to rally support for them. They are our own, and we are going to urge them to win. But tomorrow as well, we will be having some exclusive interviews on the ongoing saga, or what happened with Asamoah Gyan, the coach, the president, and what you make of it. So join us tomorrow at 9 a.m. Don't forget, the Ghana Supporters Union will be here, and all your favorite GHONE TV presenters will be here as well. So see you tomorrow at 9.
GHONE TV, your best experience.
Bad man, we are scatter. No fake with a show original. Keminni Amanor, where you suck. Bad man, set with your cup. Oh yeah. Oh, so me tell them. Oh yeah. That thing you they do, they make me crazy. Oh yeah. That thing you they do, they make me nice. Many economy ni asem. Many time I meet this work out be asem. Me chi asem steady whatever on the attempt.
Can you sing better than this? Then this is your time. Be on your way to stardom and stand a chance to win record deals, airplays, and cash prize by participating in the all-new TV experience Rhythms Covers. To be a part of this competition, text RC, your name, to short code 1747 on all networks and be a part of the audition. Rhythms Covers, we've got you covered.
For the Lord, crazy for the Lord. Check it. Sorry.
It's time for business here, and Kweku Timi has the latest. Kweku, what's going on?
All right, Keminni, you never know this, but tonight I want to share with you. Do you know that the National Development Planning Commission is a think tank of the nation? Indeed, if they are a think tank, what are they really doing in terms of planning and development for the economy? Tonight, I would want to get some updates on this and many other interesting business details.
Business Brief is brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN. And Star Assurance, your solid partner.
Premiumbeat.com. After your home is burgled, who would you be? The Mr. Iradimewo? Or the Mr. Obinsomiwo? Premiumbeat.com. Mr. I've got Star. Star Home Policy makes all the difference when burglary happens. Live. Let Star take care of it. Sign up to Star Comprehensive Homeowners Insurance today. Star Assurance, your solid partner. Hit DD.
It's Friday on MTN. Keep using your MTN number all week and get the coolest discounts on your shopping, airtime, and other amazing rewards every Friday. You know saving day for you.
We're grateful for your time tonight. Let's get some updates from the AMA now. Research has revealed that the Accra Metropolitan Authority is able to collect only 59% of residential property rates. Now, Finance Professor Dennis Phillip from Denham University in the United Kingdom, who presented findings from a research at a policy workshop in Accra, charged the Assembly to implement measures to ensure effective property tax collection to achieve a target close to 100% as compared to other countries. Property rates form a major component of revenue for the Assembly, and the authority recently completed a revaluation exercise on properties in the capital, which is likely to increase property rate. With high internally generated funds, the Assembly can reduce the pressure on government to fund its operations. Professor Dennis Phillips stressed the need for the assemblies to implement the research findings.
I'm very keen to work with AMA to achieve its potential. And I feel that the political will in AMA is such that we will be able to bring measures into place that can easily mobilize efficient collection and ensure a higher compliance than what we currently observe in the current data.
The research classified residential areas into 3 zones. The first zone comprised of affluent residential areas such as Roman Ridge. The second zone considered middle-class settlements such as Adabraka, and the third was low-income areas like Nima. Senior Technical Advisor and member of the research team now with the National Development Planning Commission, Dr. Wilfred Enim Odame said the Commission is prepared to support all assemblies to plan effectively and develop their areas.
We want to assure all metropolitan, municipal and these assemblies that the NDPC has the capacity. We have the resources and the human resources and capacity to support all MMDAs, ministries, departments and agencies. And as you heard in the presentations, we are all on the same path with our President, His Excellency the President, who has launched a Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. Ghana Beyond Aid means every Ghanaian in a leadership role has a burden of mobilizing domestic revenue.
Well, within the coming days, we would want to watch close what the NDPC is doing. But let me relate it to this one. As the National Development Planning Commission, in its quest to enhance and sustain the country's developmental gains, has instituted a monthly stakeholders forum to discuss critical development issues. Well, the Commission is hopeful that engaging the general public and other stakeholders and experts regularly would help Ghana realize the sustainable development goals by year 2030. The maiden forum is slated for May 29, 2019.
Countries that have achieved significant success in development and sustained growth usually are those that have had long-term development perspectives and have pursued them ardently. Although Ghana has made some remarkable strides in its development agenda through its medium-term development plans, such as an agenda for jobs, creating prosperity and equal opportunity for all, which has led to its lower middle-income status, the growth has not translated into any appreciable change in the standards of living of many Ghanaians. For this reason, the National Development Planning Commission is initiating the monthly National Development Forum to engage the public on development policy and to promote ownership and accountability for the implementation of national priorities.
We will be addressing the issue of the economy, social development, spatial planning, infrastructure development, environment, governance. These are the issues that we will be addressing, and hopefully some of them also you may want to suggest for the future ones, but we have to kickstart it from our end. It will ensure, hopefully, a continuous engagement with the public and generate feedback for the policy process. It will serve to share information on development issues, build consensus around broad national aspirations and priorities, manage expectations regarding Ghana's development, and engender, hopefully, an actively engaged populace.
The National Development Planning Commission under Professor Kwesi Botwe introduced a similar initiative, the 40-year National Development Plan. It was launched in 2015 to provide a framework for national development binding on successive governments. Although this initiative was not successful, Professor Emeritus Stephen Ajay has stated that the NDPC is not going to entirely neglect his predecessor's draft, but would rather build upon it to achieve the ultimate goal of national development.
We need to lay a certain period. The first 8 to 10 years is laying the foundations for takeoff. You have to improve your infrastructure. You have to improve your energy. You have to improve your quality of your basic education. We then should move to a second level where you are actually using what you have laid the next 10 years to transform the economy, industrializing, increasing productivity, and national and international competitiveness. Then you have to go to the third point where by the third 10-year one, you are actually going all out. That's where our bauxite, integrated bauxite, petrochemicals, iron and steel should be totally functional. And voila, we are there.
NDPC would use the monthly fora to strategically disseminate information on development-related matters, ensure continuous engagement with the public, and generate feedback on policy processes.
Let's talk about the state of infrastructure in the country. And here, poor maintenance culture is the cause of rapid infrastructural deterioration in the country. Well, the state of many facilities, including the National Museum of Ghana, has been left in ruins. The National Museum in Accra has cast a pale shadow of itself. Well, the sorry state of the edifice, coupled with lots of its monument left to rot, has rendered the facility unattractive and unsafe for visitors. GH1 News' Godwin Asigiba visited the National Museum and has come through with this report.
The National Museum in Accra was opened on 5th March 1957, the eve of Ghana's independence. The museum, with its galleries, is home of some of Ghana's most absorbing historical finds. It features excellent displays on various aspects of Ghanaian culture and history. It is the largest and the oldest of the 6 museums under the administration of the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board, GMMB. Interestingly, the museum is a profitable organization in spite of receiving very little state investment. Alternatively, the National Museum relies on the benevolence of some corporate bodies to funds to maintain its operations. But the once vibrant and beautiful museum is currently not in the best of shape. Some monuments, having been left under the mercy of the weather, have defaced and developed cracks. Weeds are also fast engulfing the yards, with some part of the roof ripping off. As though that wasn't enough, some doors had worn out owing to some wood-boring beetles and termites eating their way through the wooden doors. The executive director of the National Museum and Monuments Board, Kingsley Ofosu Intiamwa, said the political will by the government to salvage the deterioration of the museums in Ghana, particularly Accra, should be demonstrated. He therefore pleaded on corporate organization to assist them in any way.
Government alone, there's no public institution that will say we don't need support. But what I will say is that the government alone cannot do all. And so we are also appealing to corporate Ghana to come to our aid. You see, like this National Gallery we are talking about, that is our national identity. We say that tourism. We believe that tourism is all about our culture. And this is, when we are talking about culture, this is our national identity, our national museum. And so we are pleading with corporate Ghana to come to our aid so that the little that the government is doing, they can support for us to be able to, because I believe that the government is doing a lot.
He also stated that the old museum is still in renovation with hopes to be completed in July this year.
National Gallery, like you asked, the National Museum is under renovation. Unfortunately, that museum was opened at the eve of Ghana's independence, i.e. 5th March 1957. And interestingly, government has come, the successive government has come, none of them were able to renovate it. So the museum was closed down in 2015, when at a point it became like a death trap because the asbestos at the top started falling. And so it was important that in order to save human life, they needed to close the museum down. We appeal to all and sundry to come to the aid of Ghana Museums and Monument Board.
Should a country with Ghana's rich history have to rely solely on corporate organizations to invest in its museums, the National Museums in Accra deserves more funding from the governing bodies in order to grow and develop. Understanding one's past, cultural offerings and tradition is fundamental in a productive society. The structure here represents the National Museum and has been under construction for 4 years. As to whether if there is a hall here that stores monuments to tell stories of our rich Ghanaian culture, the story still remains unknown. Currently, there is no building in the National Museum premises that houses historical elements for the viewing of visitors. As this year marks the year of return, Africans living in other countries will be coming home to learn more about the Ghanaian culture. For GH1 News, Godwin Asidiba.
All right, so Keminni, apart from housing our rich culture and history, indeed, this can be a money-making machine for the economy. It shouldn't be left in ruins, but that would do for business. Definitely continually think about it. We'll be back Monday with some more. In a while, Keminni Amanor will be joining you again with some more news.
Business Brief is brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN. And Star Assurance, your solid partner.
Thank you very much, Kweku Timin, there with some business news. Now, stakeholders in the mental health sector are calling for the inclusion of mental health care onto the National Health Insurance Scheme as funding to cater for patients continue to be a huge problem. Acting Director of the Pantan Psychiatric Hospital in Accra, Dr. Frank Bainin, is advocating the cancellation of the free mental health service in the system to make way for better and quality services.
The insufficient resources allocated to mental health care, total disregard for the dignity and fundamental human rights of mental health patients, and the absence of a mental health law to ensure the implementation of various mental health policies have been of great concern to stakeholders over the years. The various psychiatric hospitals have continued to be run under very little resources and in deplorable conditions as government support is barely felt. The Mental Health Society of Ghana, under the Mental Health Leadership and Advocacy Program, has therefore undertaken an assessment of quality rights per the World Health Organization guidelines in the Pantan Hospital in Accra. It was found that although the facility has made some significant progress, more work needs to be done on ensuring adequate standard of living for users of the facility, the right to live independently and be included in the community, and freedom from torture. Speaking with the news team at a dissemination workshop in Accra on the assessments of quality rights, Acting Director of the Pantine Hospital, Dr. Frank Benin, decried funding challenges affecting the hospital. He called for the inclusion of psychiatric health care to be put on the NHIS.
National Health Insurance Scheme should cover mental disorders. They should mainstream mental health. It should be like going to receive care for malaria. Are you understanding me? It shouldn't be any different. We shouldn't treat mental like it's some exotic, unique thing. No. It's an illness. It's just the person's unwell. It's a disease. Just like you've gotten malaria, hypertension, you walk into a hospital, receive care. So should be mental health. People should be able to walk into any hospital at all and receive care. And when they receive care, NHIS should be able to take up the financing.
With the deplorable nature of the facility, he is calling for a total rebuilding of the entire Pantine Psychiatric Hospital.
I think the whole place should be raised down and new facilities raised because the buildings there are obsolete. I mean, really, they are not fit for purpose. I mean, people shouldn't be living in them. The plan is good, but the building structures themselves are obsolete. They are cracked, they are leaking, they've been left to the weather for many years. And indeed, even renovations will be a lot more costly than putting up new structures.
The Mental Health Authority, however, believes that when the legislative instrument on mental health is passed, the mental health levy will be put in place to tackle funding problems. She mentioned that the passage of the LI will ensure the instituting of a review tribunal to deal with issues of stigma and abuse.
The draft or the final draft of the LI, which we are going to place before Parliament, maybe by the end of next month, before before they rise from Parliament this second sitting, we hope to get them to look at it for us. So that's how far we've come. We are not saying that as soon as the LI is passed, we will get funds for mental health. But we believe that with the LI passed, we'll have the clout to be able to hold government to ask for what is due persons of mental health disabilities in Ghana to be able to also fight for their rights.
The country facilitator of the MH Lab and executive director of the Mental Health Society of Ghana, Humphrey Kofi, underscored the importance of the assessment done at Pantine to advocacy work to be done to improve mental health care delivery in the country. All stakeholders want issues of mental health prioritized to ensure the rights of all persons with mental disorders are not infringed on.
The Young Men Christian Association of Ghana has established a Media Hub Education Center in Accra. The Pan-African Media Hub will empower young talents to become responsible media and filmmakers.
As part of the establishment of the Media Hub, there was the Filmmakers Chat to discuss ways in which upcoming filmmakers can produce quality films. The participants were taken through ways they can also make money out of their passion. During the over 2-hour discussion, the issue of the Ghanaian film industry not producing quality movies was topical. Participants were informed not to compromise quality for money. After the program, George Bosompim, Public Relations Officer of GAFTA, noted that there are quality movies still being produced in the country.
Gradually, they say water will find its own level. Yeah, and so there are films that have been made. Like, for instance, today we are talking about Keteke. We are talking about the death of the burial of Koyo and the rest. All these films have gone to international festivals and winning awards. And they're coming from Ghana. They come from Ghana. And Ramesh's film, Good Luck Joe, they all came from Ghana. They are winning awards internationally. So if you want to meet that target, that standard, you can meet it. You understand? If you don't want to meet that standard, fine. But it depends upon your core values and then also which kind of audience you are dealing with.
He, however, disclosed that government has been supportive of the industry but believes more can be done.
I think it's quite conducive to be a filmmaker in Ghana. It is you and how you plan your life and how you dovetail it into the kind of situation we find ourselves. Unfortunately, we don't have that solid structures there. But there's an effort. 2016, a law was passed, the Act 935, which has to bring into force all the regulations that would govern the film industry. It has not come into fruition yet, but we're working on it.
The launched Media Hub Education Center will provide individuals the opportunity to be trained in filmmaking. Individuals are entitled to hire any of the equipment from the Media Hub for their personal work at no fee.
They have free access to the hub, but of course we have to know you, we have to prepare you, you have to be part of us, and then why not? Once we know you, you have access to our facilities and you can start a very successful career. So I want to tell you that it is open for the female filmmaker, it is open for the Gambian filmmaker, the Sierra Leonean filmmaker, male or female, any category of young people who has the interest, who has that career interest to tell the African story in an African way.
The initiative is said to be largely influenced by the success of the All On Board Film Project, a joint initiative of the WorldFilm.com and YMCA Ghana, which has so far trained more than 70 aspiring filmmakers and film producers within the West African sub-region, that is in Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone.
His own comes up now. Now, rival dancehall artists Shatta Wale and Stonebwoy continue to dominate the news. Their fan base in the strongholds Nima and Ashaiman say the indefinite ban and withdrawal of awards are too harsh a punishment for the country's biggest acts.
But tomorrow I go get something, and I go buy the motor for mama. But the enemy won't worry me. I go show all of them.
At first place, xylophone over there. The system boy, a car. Fight came there. I shout to the world. They took a human knife. Still we dey on. So why they go bound down? You know lots complain. But then they know two lots complain. If they bound down, they make them return our vote money for we. Make them give us everything, the voting, the taxing, everything.
They were all wrong at the time. But me, I don't stand on one person. I don't mess them fun. Shatta did wrong, and Stonebwoy went ahead and did it beyond his. So they deserve to be banned, but they have to give them here. Their ones is what they don't have to take back. Shatta take two, but the two way take means have no go stage. If it's someone will go take and give out, all right. The one with someone will go take no. We know they know they are, but as you can't stay no, as you come around no. If I don't wake up, I Shatta wake up no. Things will make me like he behave like the person they go fight for stage. And the guy will somewhere to jail. Someone no jail guns so come Shatta.
And it's good because you spare the rod, you spoil the child. But what I know is because it's indefinite, they can call them tomorrow, they can call them today. So far as indefinite, let's pray that they call them early for the betterment of Ghana music.
Put up on no answer again, and in the year all of the bad man them. Give thanks for life again. We will take them to the dance hall again. I'll make my brother Esther make you know say me Ziggy for Shama.
Yes.
I dey respect her 100%. And what he do, he be guy. And he no get no bad man for Stonebwoy.
Yes.
But if Stonebwoy in bad mind, if it's Stonebwoy in bad mind, and in fear where he gets about a star boy, he be let to do so, but Shatta no get bad man for that.
To be frank, the band is not good. At least you need to find them. After finding them, you need to collaborate and sing a song so that they'll come together beat Ghana.
People they for no ban them. Government for charge them big money. Ghana will need money to do the town, but will not get money. If you get money, wait for food, they for do you waiting. If you charge, they for charge you.
Stonebwoy, you get right. Because Stonebwoy, move the gun, you get right to move the gun. We talk about who crazy. If you go someplace you attempt to for sure you say to worry. So Shatta the craze, Shatta the so say he be man, he get boys. So if they do something, he the craze. But we Stonebwoy, we just give on Lord, make it do whatever.
The price so as I saw them, everything tight to sleep them sleep minutes of 4 but night to. Hold on your door, okay.
Right, let's leave the argument there. We'll turn attention to international news now, where President Emmanuel Macron of France has urged swift clarification on Brexit after the resignation of UK Prime Minister Theresa May. He stressed the need to maintain the smooth functioning of the EU as the European Commission ruled out any change to Brexit policy. May stepping down after failing to get her withdrawal agreement through Parliament 3 times. Macron also joined EU leaders in paying tribute to May's courage. Well, in the U.S., the country is to send additional troops to the Middle East to counter the ongoing threat posed by Iranian forces. The acting defense secretary has said Congress has been notified about the plans. Patrick Shanahan said in a statement, troops, fighter jets and engineers will all be deployed. President Donald Trump announced the move earlier on Friday. He said the deployment was relatively small. Tensions rose this month and the U.S. sent an aircraft carrier to the Gulf. The U.S. has also deployed more planes to the region in recent days, with officials saying there was a threat from Iran-backed forces in Iraq. But only Thursday, Trump said he did not think more troops were needed. Join us for the weekend edition, but I'll see you on Monday. Thank you very much for your company. My name is Keminni Amanor. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.
GHONE TV, your best experience.
Mara is proudly brought to you by Indomie.